this WrestleTalk news, CM Punk AEW Heat, WWE mass releases talent and is closing down NXT UK, plus so much more. So subscribe and enable notifications to always on for daily wrestling news videos.
Support WrestleTalk!
You boy, what year is this? Oh, 2022. Thank God, I thought I'd woken up in like the 2010s because CM Punk apparently has heat with the wrestling company that he's working for. But let us lay the groundwork before we get into the whole who is pissed off and why, because you may remember that CM Punk defeated Hangman Adam Page to win the AEW World Championship at Double or Nothing in May before being forced to take time out with a foot injury. If you can time travel back that far, it was a hot storyline with barbs being slung back and forth between two of the top guys in the company. But a new report from Fightful Select suggests that Punk and Hangman did not see eye to eye on some of the promo material being used to build to their match. The report states that the promo that referenced Punk's issues with Colt Cabana from Adam Page did not sit well with CM Punk, and another promo that took a shot at him while he wasn't at the show also added fuel to this particular fire. It went so far to say that Punk reportedly met with AEW higher-ups to voice his displeasure, and sources said that Punk has often voiced his frustrations to the point that they thought that he might end up quitting the company. Another veteran even said that while there isn't any indication that Punk plans to leave AEW, threats have been levied. Voices of Wrestling also added to this report that they had heard in a meeting in May that Punk had said that he would not lose to Hangman Page, even if that's what the booking was calling for. Now, this all led to Punk calling out Hangman Page during his promo this week on Dynamite, where he called him out for a rematch and called him a coward for not answering. But the thing is that that part of the promo has been confirmed by Fightful to not have been planned at all, so Hangman was never going to get a response. Several in AEW told Fightful they thought the situation was unfair to Page, as he wasn't even aware of the jab, though he was in the building at the time, and one said that even if he was aware of it, what would he have done? Charged to the ring past Tony Khan, interrupted a promo he knew he wasn't supposed to be a part of. There was no way Hangman could have won in that situation. Now, it was the belief among several of the roster that Fightful spoke to that Punk believed Hangman went into business for himself leading into Double or Nothing, and that this promo was a receipt. Now, aside from calling out somebody who wasn't scripted to respond this week, Punk also took some shots at Jon Moxley, which led to the pair having a pair of pull-apart brawls on Dynamite. Now, in the aftermath, AEW announced that we won't have to wait until All Out in Chicago in September to decide the undisputed AEW champion, as Mox and Punk will go head-to-head on next week's edition of Dynamite instead. Now, according to Fightful Select, this was a late decision from the creative side of things, though Fightful were unable to glean how late the decision was made, and their AEW sources couldn't give any context behind it. So instead, let us speculate on some possibilities. One, they've come up with a bigger money match for either Punk or Moxley at All Out, which I guess kind of seems unlikely. These are two really big names in the company. They want to unify the titles ASAP to avoid any potential future frustrations in a tumultuous time, or they're just looking to bump up the Dynamite viewerships, as according to Brandon Thurston of WrestleNomics, this week's episode was down, but only slightly, to 957,000 viewers. What do you guys think AEW are going to do with Punk heading into All Out? Let me know in the comments down below.
Before we get on with the rest of the episode, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to this video's sponsor, Dave, the banking app for humans. As in Dave and Goliath, standing up to huge fees from traditional banks. As in your mate Dave. It's help from you in the future. Thanks, future me! Your jetpack looks awesome! Dave is the banking app that can help you get up to $500 instantly with extra cash, with no interest or credit check needed. Millions of people have already downloaded the Dave app to get the financial relief they need with extra cash. And as an extra bonus, you build credit just by paying the money back on time. Dave is also great for avoiding overdraft fees. After uni, I was getting charged hundreds of pounds a year for just occasionally dipping into mine. Dave could have helped that situation. So don't wait. Download Dave today at dave.com/wrestle. That's dave.com/wrestle. Sign up for an extra cash account and get up to $500 instantly. For terms and conditions, go to dave.com/legal. Instant transfer fees apply. Banking provided by Evolve. Member FDIC. Dave that Dave.
In other news, even with John Laurinaitis gone from WWE, the releases don't stop, but perhaps the excuses that go along with them have. Because yesterday evening, an influx of announcements began on Twitter, with NXT UK talent announcing that they and the brand had come to terms on their releases, while others were merely quietly removed from WWE's roster page. Now, the list of names is pretty long, So here we go. Flash Morgan Webster, Mark Andrews, Wild Boar, Amali, Jack Stars, Dave Mastiff, Ashton Smith, Amelia McKenzie, Shah Samuels, Nina Samuels, Sam Gradwell, Danny Luna, Primate, Rohan Raja, Kenny Williams, Zaya Brookside, Tio Man, Trent Seven, Tyson T-Bone, Sid Scala, Saxon Huxley, Eddie Dennis, and Amir Jordan. That is a lot of talented folks. But seemingly this is part of a much grander strategy for the future of NXT, as it was announced that the NXT UK brand is going to go on hiatus following a freshly announced Worlds Collide show on September the 4th, with NXT UK ultimately being relaunched as NXT Europe in 2023. Now, in a press release, WWE noted that NXT Europe will reimagine the brand and its talent pipeline with a pan-European focus. And the future of the UK brand has been up in the air since it was announced that the most recent set of tapings were cancelled and many of the brand's top talent were just moved over to NXT 2.0 instead. While discussing what would happen to talent with Fox News, NXT's second daddy Shawn Michaels said, "It's what NXT has always been, and that is to be a pipeline for the WWE in support of Raw and SmackDown. That process is going to continue. We're going to use the UK talent that we can to go into Worlds Collide and keep that representation out there for as long as we can, and as we move things over here in the process, we'll make all of those decisions in 2023 about who's a part of NXT Europe and who continues to stay here in NXT in hopes of getting a main roster call-up." Just to talk a little bit about that Worlds Collide show, because it is set to take place on the same day as AEW's All Out show, September the 4th, but the shows are not scheduled to overlap, which is probably a good thing for the WWE show. Brian Alvarez noted on Wrestling Observer Radio that the show is set to be NXT versus NXT UK only. Now, with the dissolution of NXT UK and its eventual rebirth as NXT Europe, plenty of people have been bidding farewell to the brand and noting their excitement for the future. Like Gunther, the former longest reigning NXT UK champion, who said, "The whole of Europe has a rich history of pro wrestling. In the last decade, a lot of people have unselfishly put in the work to revive this great sport at our doorsteps. I'm excited for the talent and fans." While Finn Balor merely just tweeted, "NXT Europe," all caps, so absolutely no idea if he actually likes it or not. Not even an exclamation mark. Whereas current AEW star and ex-NXT shouting man William Regal was a little bit more eloquent. He had worked across obviously both the Black and Gold NXT and the UK show, scouting talent and training up future stars. He said on Twitter, he said, "Thank you for the incredible memories, NXT UK. It was a pleasure to be part of every show and training session. I worked with you all. Little kiss." It's an absolute gent, that guy. Before we crack on with the rest of the episode, we just need to thank Will, the MS Warrior Stewart, and Dr. Death Dan Williams for their support on Patreon. Thank you so much. Now, alongside this major shake-up to the NXT world also came some adjustments at the top, as Shawn Michaels has seemingly moved up the WWE ladder. It was always going to happen when Popper H was in charge, wasn't it? HBK was noted in the press release for NXT Europe as being the company's Vice President of Talent Development Creative. Now, previously, he was the Vice President of Talent Development, a completely uncreative role. It seems like a minor change, but perhaps it's one that reflects taking charge of the storyline aspects of talent development alongside the actual wrestling training. Michaels has been in charge of the NXT 2.0 brand since last September, when the show was reformatted and while Triple H was out recovering from his cardiac event. Elsewhere in WWE news, Dave Meltzer has been saying that there has been an internal shift in how WWE decides where to host its major events. Meltzer noted that from now on, WWE will have cities bid for its biggest events like the Royal Rumble or SummerSlam, just like they usually do with WrestleMania each year. So I guess we can expect most of the shows to be emanated from the beautiful and progressive city of Riyadh. And oil dollary dues really do go far, man. Meltzer also noted that this was why Cardiff got Clash at the Castle, which, remember, you can come and watch with us in London, not Cardiff. Link in the description down below. It's going to be great fun. It's going to be a good crowd who've already bought their tickets, so do come along if you can. Now, whether this new decision is opening up shows like Rumble or SummerSlam to international bidding does remain to be seen, but if it did, imagine if the Royal Rumble came to London. I thought getting the Pokemon World Championships was good. Ooh. Hopping over to AEW one final time, and CM Punk is not the only one reportedly frustrated by his booking, because following Dynamite this week, 2 AEW stars aired their grievances on Twitter. Now, the Varsity Blondes suffered a squashing at the hands of the Gun Club, with the match being over so quickly that Brian Pillman Jr. didn't even get to tag in. So the Blondes then began a campaign of systematically retweeting and liking tweets that pointed to frustration with that bit of booking. The general gist being that the Blondes deserved a better showing, and surprised that the pair generally got beaten in such short shrift. One read, "Great to see the roster that carried AEW through the pandemic era getting treated like this. Awesome. love it. Varsity Blondes deserve better. While Griff Garrison himself just simply tweeted the word frustrated, thus proving the frustration. I rest my case, Your Honor. Anyway, have a good weekend, gang. In this WrestleTalk news, backstage updates on what happened with Kenny Omega after Dynamite went off the air, more unrecorded payments by Vince McMahon revealed by the Wall Street Journal, and a full review of AEW Dynamite by Tempest.